Today, we're diving into a story that is just deeply unsettling. It takes place in a quiet Delhi neighborhood, involves a trusted individual, and a betrayal that turned a family home into the scene of an unimaginable tragedy. This is so much more than a crime report. It's a chilling look at the dangers that can hide right in front of our eyes. A trusted face, a familiar home, a brutal betrayal. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. These are the three ingredients that make this story so incredibly disturbing. It's the kind of nightmare scenario that plays on our most fundamental fears about safety and trust. So to really get a handle on how this all happened, we have to go back to the beginning. It all started on what seemed like a completely normal morning, one that was about to be shattered in the most violent way possible. Let's set the scene. We're in Kailash Hills, a pretty quiet residential area in southeast Delhi. The date is April 22nd. It's the kind of peaceful neighborhood where you think nothing truly awful could ever happen. But on this day, it did. Okay, so inside one of the homes is a 22-year-old student. She's the daughter of a senior IRS official, and she's just at home, studying. Her parents have just left for their daily trip to the gym. It's a snapshot of a totally normal day, right? A quiet moment that tragically made her incredibly vulnerable. Now, here's what makes this crime so terrifying. It wasn't about a stranger forcing their way in. The horror of this story comes from a betrayal from within. The danger was someone the family knew, someone they trusted, someone who was already on the inside. The person responsible was a former domestic worker. Think about that for a second. This was a man they had welcomed into their home, he knew their routine, he knew the layout of the house, and this is the crucial part, he knew exactly when their daughter would be home alone. All that inside knowledge, he turned it into a weapon. This timeline just lays out the horrifying sequence of events. Her parents leave. Almost immediately after, he gets into the house, and for the next 40 minutes, an absolute nightmare unfolds. A horrific attack, a robbery, 40 minutes of pure terror where he was in complete control before he finally fled the scene. And the details of what he did are just chillingly calculated. He attacked the young woman, striking her on the head. Then he strangled her with a mobile charging cable. His motive might have been robbery, but his actions were just beyond brutal. He ransacked a wardrobe, stole cash, and even had the cold presence of mind to change his own clothes before escaping. But he's fled the scene, and this is where the story pivots. Because the police response was incredibly swift and efficient, this wasn't going to be a long, drawn-out manhunt. Get this, just 12 hours. 12. To track down and capture a murder suspect in a sprawling metropolis like Delhi, that is a testament to some seriously effective police work. So you're probably asking, how did they do it so fast? Well, it was a pretty classic modern investigation. First, they secured all the CCTV footage from the area. Next, they dove deep into mobile data analysis, tracing his movements. And just like that, those two steps led them right to him, a positive ID and a swift arrest. The arrest, however, brought a much more disturbing truth to light. See, this wasn't just a simple robbery that went horribly wrong. There was something much darker going on here. And this really highlights the chilling gap between perception and reality. What the family knew was that he was their former domestic worker, a familiar face. But the hidden reality? He was a violent criminal with a prior record, a true predator hiding in plain sight. And we're not talking about a minor offense here. His criminal history included a previous rape case in Alwar, Rajasthan. And that single fact reframes this entire tragedy. This wasn't a sudden, impulsive act of violence. This was the work of a known predator who had somehow slipped through the cracks. This horrific crime really forces us to confront a difficult and unsettling question, one that goes beyond the headlines and, honestly, hits pretty close to home for every single one of us. One source called this the most horrifying example of broken trust, and it hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? The very foundation of their relationship with him, trust, became the weapon he used to shatter their lives. And this is why this story matters so much. It's a tragic, powerful reminder about the importance of household security, about being vigilant, about who we let into our personal spaces. It forces us to have a difficult but absolutely necessary conversation about safety. So I'll leave you with this one haunting question to really think about. How well do you actually know the people you let into your home?
It's a brutal reminder that sometimes the greatest dangers aren't the ones breaking down the door, they're the ones we've already invited inside.